Tornadoes are one of nature's most violent and unpredictable forces. Imagine for a moment a powerful, rotating column of air, stretching from the dark clouds of a thunderstorm all the way down to the ground. This spinning funnel of wind can reach incredible speeds, capable of tearing apart buildings, uprooting massive trees, and, honestly, tossing cars around like toys. It forms when warm, moist air collides with cool, dry air, creating an unstable atmosphere where rotation can begin. It truly is a spectacle of raw power, a stark reminder that we are often at the mercy of the weather. For many, a tornado is something seen only on television or in distant rural landscapes. Miami, Florida, is a city known for its sunshine, its beautiful beaches, and its vibrant culture. It's a place where people come to escape the cold, to relax under swaying palm trees. Hurricanes are the familiar threat here, the known danger that residents prepare for each season. But on June 17th, 1949, a different kind of storm descended upon this coastal paradise. It was a day that would be etched into the city's memory, not for a hurricane's widespread flooding, but for the sudden concentrated fury of a deadly tornado. The city was not ready for what was about to happen. The idea of a significant tornado striking a major metropolitan area like Miami seemed almost impossible at the time. Weather forecasting in the 1940s was not what it is today. There were no Doppler radars, no instant alerts sent to mobile phones. People relied on radio broadcasts and the look of the sky itself to gauge the weather. This lack of advanced warning meant that when the storm began to form, the people of Miami were caught completely by surprise. They were going about their daily lives, unaware of the violent vortex that was about to carve a path of destruction straight through their neighborhoods. A tornado in South Florida is a rare event, but not an impossible one. The state's unique geography, surrounded by warm water, creates a volatile environment where severe thunderstorms can thrive. These thunderstorms are the breeding ground for tornadoes. On that particular day in 1949, all the necessary ingredients were present in the atmosphere over Miami. The stage was set for a tragedy that would serve as a powerful lesson. It would demonstrate that no place is entirely safe from nature's wrath, and that preparedness is crucial, no matter the perceived risk. Friday, June 17, 1949, started like many other early summer days in Miami. The air was warm and thick with humidity, a familiar feeling for anyone living in South Florida. But as the afternoon progressed, the weather began to shift in a menacing way. The bright blue sky began to fill with dark, bruised-looking clouds that churned and boiled with an unusual intensity. The U.S. Weather Bureau had issued a forecast for thunderstorms, a common occurrence, but there was no specific mention of a tornado. No one could have predicted the terrifying event that was about to unfold. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the storm's character changed dramatically. Witnesses later described an eerie calm followed by a deafening roar, often compared to the sound of a freight train or a squadron of low-flying airplanes. This is the classic terrifying signature of an approaching tornado. The funnel cloud first touched down in the rural area of Richmond Heights, in southwestern Dade County. It started as a smaller vortex, but as it moved northeastward, it drew more energy from the unstable atmosphere, growing in both size and destructive power with each passing moment. The tornado's path took it directly towards some of Miami's more populated areas. It moved with a frightening speed, giving people little to no time to react or find shelter. In an era before sophisticated storm tracking technology, the community was defenseless against the suddenness of the attack. Families were in their homes, workers were at their jobs, and children were playing, all unaware that a violent twister was bearing down on them. The sky grew unnervingly dark. The wind began to howl, and the air filled with the sound of breaking glass and splintering wood. For those in its direct path, the experience was surreal and horrifying. The world outside their windows transformed into a blur of swirling debris and chaos. The pressure changes were so intense that some people reported their ears popping just before the main impact. The tornado did not discriminate, tearing through whatever stood in its way. It moved across the landscape not as a typical storm, but as a focused, violent entity, leaving a clear and devastating trail of ruin. The city was about to face a level of destruction it had never experienced before. As the tornado tore through Miami, its devastating power was unleashed upon the city's residents. The storm's path of destruction was narrow but incredibly intense, leaving behind a scene of utter chaos. In the moments the twister passed, lives were changed forever. The official toll was grim. 6 people lost their lives and at least 10 more were seriously injured. Each death was a unique tragedy, a story of being in the wrong place at the absolute worst time. The winds were so powerful that they became a deadly force, turning everyday objects into lethal projectiles and ripping people from their homes. The circumstances of the fatalities paint a horrifying picture of the tornado's violence. One man, caught outside, was reportedly picked up by the vortex and thrown to his death. Another resident suffered a fatal heart attack, the sheer terror of the event proving too much for his body to handle. 2 other victims were killed when they were struck by heavy flying debris that had been ripped from nearby buildings. Perhaps most tragically, 2 individuals were lifted from the shore and thrown into the churning waters of Biscayne Bay, where they ultimately drowned, unable to fight against the storm's fury. The destruction of property was immense. The tornado ripped the roofs off of houses, shattered windows, and flattened entire structures. In the Overtown neighborhood, flimsy, poorly constructed shacks were no match for the winds and were obliterated, leaving families with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Cars were overturned and tossed aside, and massive, decades-old trees were snapped in half or completely uprooted, their roots exposed to the sky. The path of the tornado was clearly visible, a scar of ruin that cut through neighborhoods, leaving adjacent areas strangely untouched. For those who survived, the experience was harrowing. People huddled in bathrooms or under furniture, listening to their homes being torn apart around them. The air was filled with the sound of shattering glass, splintering wood, and the relentless roar of the wind. When the noise finally subsided and survivors emerged from the wreckage, they were met with a scene of complete devastation. Their streets were unrecognizable, buried under a tangled mess of building materials, personal belongings, and natural debris. The paradise they knew had been turned into a war zone in a matter of minutes. In the immediate aftermath of the tornado, as the skies cleared and the terrifying roar faded, a different sound began to fill the air. The sound of a community coming together. Before official emergency services could even fully assess the situation, neighbors were already helping neighbors. People emerged from their damaged but standing homes to check on those less fortunate. They helped dig through the rubble, searching for the injured and offering comfort to the shocked and displaced. This immediate human response was the first step in the city's long road to recovery. The city of Miami quickly mobilized its resources. Police, firefighters, and medical personnel rushed to the hardest-hit areas to provide aid. Emergency shelters were set up for the dozens of families who had lost their homes, offering them a safe place to stay, food, and basic necessities. The cleanup effort was monumental. Crews worked tirelessly to clear roads blocked by fallen trees and debris, working to restore power and a sense of normalcy to the shattered neighborhoods. The resilience of the human spirit was on full display as people from all walks of life worked side by side to begin rebuilding. The 1949 tornado served as a harsh and unforgettable lesson for Miami and for all of South Florida. It was a brutal reminder that destructive weather is not limited to hurricanes. The event highlighted the critical need for better weather forecasting and, more importantly, for robust public warning systems. It showed that even in a place known for sunshine, sudden and deadly storms can strike with little to no warning. The tragedy spurred conversations about building codes and storm preparedness that would influence the region for decades to come, shaping how the city would face future threats. Today, as we look back on this event from 2025, we are armed with technology and knowledge that was unimaginable in 1949. Doppler radar, advanced storm prediction models, and instant mobile alerts give us the precious gift of time. Time to prepare, time to take shelter, time to save lives. The story of the 1949 Miami tornado is not just a piece of history, it is a timeless warning. It reminds us why we must always respect the power of nature, why we must invest in preparedness, and why we must heed the warnings when they come. Being prepared is our best defense against the unpredictable fury of the sky.